Hey guys, welcome to Farm Charm Chic. I'm Emily. Today's episode is all about different projects you can make with salvaged wood. It is part of a playlist and I will explain more about that as we get into the video. But if you like crafting, DIYs, dupes, hacks, thrift flips, or just creating in general, I would love if you would consider subscribing. And if you do like any of the DIYs or projects from today's video, remember to hit that thumbs up. But let's get started. This project is so easy, I think anyone can do this. This just takes a little piece of wood that I have here. Mine is probably about 14 to 16 inches long, but you can make it any length or any width that you would like. Now, if you remember, we had a barn that we tore down, so I have a lot of salvaged barnwood that we have sitting in our garage. And so my projects all today use that, but you can use any type of salvaged wood or any type of wood that you would like. I just got this fabric at JoAnns. It just reminded me that it was very farmhouse with that little almost like ticking stripe through it. I really liked it. And so what I'm doing is I just cut it down to the size that I needed for my board. And I am just kind of tearing off the sides, like pulling those little threads out to kind of fray the edges, to kind of give it a little bit of, you know, a worn out look, I guess. And so just on the sides, I do that with all of the sides that I can. I don't really need to on the bottom because I'm going to be gluing some beads along the bottom. So I just hot glue this to my piece of wood. We're just making a little pocket here because we're going to stick some florals in there. So I used my little brayer and immediately realized probably not the smartest idea because it kind of made the fabric ruffle up. So just kind of lightly press it with your fingers. It will seep through the fabric a little bit, so just be careful. Use finger protectors if you're worried about that. But I just go around 3 edges, the 2 sides and the bottom, to make sure that it is adhered really good. This is why I frayed those edges, is because they're going to be showing there, and so I just wanted them to kind of look like it was an intentional, like, worn out look. Now I have these wooden half beads from Amazon, and they will be linked down in my description box. These are the smaller, like a really small size, so I'll try and link the size down there of these, because I buy these and I buy the little bit bigger size, but these I want to say, I don't really even know, 8mm maybe. I'll check and I'll put that down in my description box. But I just put them in a little Ziploc baggie there, and then I just put a little bit of antiquing wax and I spray some water, and I'm just kind of gonna zhuzh these around, get them all kind of stained there. Doesn't have to be perfect or exact. Remember, we're doing a farmhouse look here. Everything's kind of supposed to look salvaged. So, and this step would be completely optional. I just thought it kind of dressed it up a little bit. After you dump those out, I just dump them on a baby wipe. I pat them down with a paper towel or another baby wipe to get all the excess wax off of them. And now I'm just taking my heat gun and I will just kind of dry them off a little bit. Now you can space these out in any length that you want. You could even just put one on each of the 4 corners, would look cute. I kind of just went around all of the edges, kind of spacing them maybe like a 1/2 inch. I just kind of eyeballed it, and you can kind of see it's not exactly perfect, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be, so just know that. Now I have these florals that are from Dollar Tree. I just love this little, I'm not even sure what this is called. I should have looked at the tag, but I think it drooping over just really adds something to it. I love it. And then I have these 2 other little spring kind of purpley colored on the floral there, and I just thought those looked great. Now I thought the front looked a little bare, but this is completely optional. You would not have to do this. It's not bare enough that it's going to be like stark bare, but I decided to make a little sign to go on the top. So this is just a plank of wood from a pack that you get at Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to add some chalk couture stenciling to it. Now you certainly don't have to do chalk couture on this. That is just what I chose because I am fairly new to it and I am loving everything about it so far. But if you had a cutting machine, you could easily use that. You could use stencils, you could use rub-on transfers, water slide decals, print on tissue paper. There are so many options now to do different types of designs on things that you're not just kind of like cemented into one idea or out of luck if you don't have one particular way of doing things. This particular transfer came from Chalk Couture's monthly club that you subscribe to, and they send you a transfer every month. If you want more information about that, check my description box down below or just message me. I'll be happy to answer any questions. But I just took the word farm and sweet and did farm sweet farm with that adorable windmill. I thought that looked so cute. Now I'm just sanding around all of the edges, and I sand the front of that design because I want it to look weathered and worn out. Then I just take a baby wipe, put it on my finger, and get a little bit of antiquing wax and just kind of run it over all of the edges and all of the corners. Where you sand it off, I sanded off that paint that I had painted this with. That wood is just going to allow that wax to seep into it and give it that really aged look. And then I just take some hot glue and I just glue this onto the front. Now again, this step is completely optional, but I just really think it adds a lot to it. I think it turns out beautiful. I love how this looks. You can add a little thing on the back to hang this with if you wanted to even like staple some twine into it or something, or rope, or hang it that way, or just use it to prop up against like a backsplash in a kitchen or on a shelf somewhere. I love how this turned out. Please let me know what you think of this one down in the comments. As you heard me mention earlier in the video, this is part of a playlist. And oh, what an amazing playlist it is. I am so excited about this. This is called the Salvage Saturday, and there's going to be 5 videos that all have different ideas and projects to do with salvaged wood. It is hosted by Teresa at Teresa B DIY and co-hosted by Jamie at Simple Roots, Simple Living, and then myself, DIY at the JoAnns Nest, and Glue La La are all participating. These ladies are so talented, so creative. I am so excited to see what they come up with, and I know you're going to love their DIYs as well. So down in my description box is a link to that playlist. Click on that and it'll play through everyone's video and you can get all sorts of salvaged wood inspiration. For this project, you just need any really type of scrap wood. So I'm just taking some from a project you'll see in just a minute. This is just a little bit left over. And I'm just cutting down a couple of like little rectangles or squares. I'm gonna make a couple little shapes of birdhouses. So I actually end up taking my miter saw and I turn it to a 30-degree angle. And then I cut the rooftop, like the roof line on both of these pieces of wood. Now, as always, remember just when you're using power tools to use your safety glasses and just be very careful. You can even use your miter box like hand saw to do this project. Would be really easy if you don't have access or don't feel comfortable using any of the power tools. That would work as well. And then I just had these little teeny pieces that I had when I cut off some of the ends that I'm using kind of as their roof. I'm just going to use some wood glue here. I think I did end up using a little bit of hot glue to get that immediate hold, so that's optional. And I just kind of put these together here to kind of make a staggered look, like there's 2 cute little birdhouses. You could even like drill or paint a hole on these to have like the little entrance to the birdhouses. I chose to kind of leave them a little bit plain. I thought I particularly liked that look on this project, but I thought they were cute. And I just use a little wood glue here. You can also use some hot glue. As you can see, I'm using clamps as well to kind of get the hot glue helps to get that immediate hold to let that wood glue dry. This doesn't have to be super sturdy depending on what you're doing with it. And so, you know, just enough to get it to stay on there. Now I'm just doing that method of taking some antiquing wax on a baby wipe and just covering that raw edge of the wood. That just helps it blend into that weathered look on the front of the barnwood. So really, depending on your wood, you may not need to do this step if you don't have like that weathered dark look to it. You could paint these, you could do whatever you wanted to kind of jazz these little birdhouses up. So now I'm going to adhere them to a wreath. So I'm just taking some zip ties that I got from the automotive section at Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use my staple gun here and I'm just stapling those onto the back so that way I can easily zip tie these houses onto the wreath. I love using zip ties in wreath making and getting like florals and things to stick to them. So just keep that in your back of your mind when you see those zip ties that you may want to pick some up because they're perfect for projects like this. And then just a quick check to make sure everything looks okay. And then I just snip the ends of those zip ties off there. And then I even use a little bit of hot glue just to make sure that that's gonna stay there, just a little added protection. And then when I flip it over, I just kind of do a little bit of traditional, what we like to call wreath fluffing. I don't know what it's really called, but that's what it feels like, as you're just fluffing up all of the little vines and everything on the wreath there. This particular wreath came from Hobby Lobby. It came from like this last season, so you may be able to find it and pick it up. But I just love how this turns out. So rustic and so cute. And this was very, very simple. Even though it's simple, it still makes a statement, I feel. I love how this turns out. What do you guys think of this one? Don't forget that I'm on Instagram also. I love to meet new Insta friends, so I would love for you to come over and say hi, check out my page, and see all the latest projects that I'm working on. I'll be sure and leave a link down in my description box so you can easily find me. I am so excited about this project. I know I say that about a lot of them, but you guys, seriously, this is one of my all-time favorite projects. So I'm making a lantern. So I just decided how tall I wanted my lantern to be. And I'm taking, we have like these long slats of wood here. So I am cutting it down into 18 inches and I make 4 pieces in that 18-inch cut. Now, you wouldn't have to do yours this tall if you wanted to do it, 12 inches, 10 inches, 30 inches, however tall you want yours is how tall you're going to cut these pieces. pieces. So I just take my first piece, I cut it to 18 inches. I like to take my next piece, use it as a template as where to cut the next piece. You could easily measure out each piece, which is probably what my husband would tell me to do, is measure it rather than use a template, but whatever works for you. Again, that's why I love this farmhouse rustic style, is it's rustic. It doesn't have to be super exact. I mean, it needs to be exact enough for things to be able to put together, but I think you guys get what I'm saying here. So I just cut 4 of those pieces out at 18 inches long. So I just brushed off my wood. The barnwood has a texture to it that picks up a lot of like sawdust or different things. So I'm just cleaning it off before I really start working with each individual piece. And then I'm taking just a Clorox wipe container to trace a little bit of a circle. I'm wanting to do like an arch shape on this. And so I just trace that little like half circle there. You could trace the whole circle and then use a straight edge to do a line down. So I'll show you in a moment what that looks like, but you can really, if you even just wanted to cut a simple rectangle out, you could do that. I just like the arch look, but you can see how that arch is kind of on there and it goes all the way down to the end there, and then it squares off. So now we're going to use our jigsaw to cut this shape out. So I'm just going to clamp my wood so that way it's nice and secure so I can drill my pilot hole. The reason that you drill a pilot hole is you have to have something for your jigsaw blade to fit through. Now I'm just showing you how easy the jigsaw is. There's a little trigger on there and that's what makes it go. You can do it as fast or as slow as you want. I'm encouraging you to not let this intimidate you, because honestly, these projects are so simple. And once you do it like your first project with your jigsaw, you're going to go, oh my gosh, okay, that was really easy and really fun. And your mind starts just reeling with all these different ideas of things to make. But I am just using this to cut out this shape, and I'll do this on all 4 pieces. And again, you can go as slow as you want. You can have it go as fast as you need it to, but it's not going to feel like you're out of control. And so you'll use that pilot hole and you kind of have to curve your way around to get onto your line that you've traced. And then you'll just kind of go back over different ways for the lines. I hope that's making sense and you can see what I'm doing, but see how I use that pilot hole to guide my blade around so I could get that arch there? That's what I'm talking about there. So now I just clamp this so I can get to the other side of it. So I will just slide my blade into one of the cuts that I've already made and then just continue on. When you get to a corner, because you can't do like a 90-degree cut, you kind of have to back up a little bit. You'll stop your blade, back up a little bit, and kind of curve it around to get that next corner. So you can see how I back that up and I'll curve it around to get on that next line, and then I'll come back and get from the other direction and it will cut that corner out. I hope that makes sense to you. I just made a window in one of my videos, like a Gothic window. I will leave a link to that down in my description box so you can kind of see that too. I give a little bit more detail on using my jigsaw there. Now that I cut my first one out, I just use that as a template to draw a template on the rest of my 3 pieces for those cutouts. So I'm going to cut this out on all 4 pieces. So I just trace, and that barnwood is pretty dark, so I have to trace pretty hard so you can see it, but you can see that line there. I'll just do the same thing with the next 4 pieces, just cutting each of those out. So I just want to show you how easy it is to go around this curve here. You just want to switch places on your jigsaw so you have control of it with your correct hand and everything. And you can see you just kind of slowly go right around that. And that was sped up, guys. So I mean, I'm doing this fairly slow. Now, when you get your pieces cut out, you're going to look at those edges and go, this does not look very pretty. At this point, I was a little discouraged, but I thought I'm just going to keep going. And so pull your sander out and sand those edges. You're kind of going to round those edges out, sand both sides, every raw edge, and it's going to soften it and it's going to make it look so much better. Kind of think like it's going to look like it's carved out of wood. So I did glue all the pieces together, and just in the same way that I'm gluing the base on here, but I just took each of those sides and glued them to the other side there, and then I just glued the base on. I just used wood glue. I didn't use any nails or anything like that. And now I'm just taking some antiquing wax and I am just kind of using my finger. Again, this is just because I have that barnwood that has that finish, and when you cut the raw edge, it's very stark difference. And so I just took some antiquing wax and went over it, went over all of the edges, the very top of it where those edges are exposed, I do it there as well. So you could even, if you're just cutting this out of like a regular piece of MDF board, just paint it whatever color you wanted to. That would be super easy. Just use some spray paint and that would be super quick as well. You guys, oh my gosh. I can't believe I made this. Like this has easily got to be like the top 3 of projects I've ever made. I absolutely love this. And you know what the hardest part is, you guys, is getting over that fear of using power tools. I promise you, once you do a jigsaw project your first time, your world is going to completely change. You're going to love it. It is so easy, I promise you. Please let me know what you think of this lantern down in the description box. I would love to know your thoughts on this. I would like to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I had a lot of fun coming up with these different projects to use my salvaged barnwood for. It was a lot of fun to get to be creative and to make these things. I'm not shy about which one was my favorite, but honestly, looking at them, I love all of these. I mean, they're all going to get used in my decor. They are totally all my style. But I would love to know if you guys had a favorite, which one that it was. And again, you guys, if you're liking these jigsaw projects, let me know because I'll keep them coming. They're a lot of fun to do, and I just want to keep encouraging you to create, get out of your comfort zone a little bit, and just make things that you are proud of. I love these. Now remember, this is part of a playlist, so click that link down in my description box. It'll take you right over to the playlist. You can watch the other videos of the other salvaged wood projects, get some great inspiration there. I know you're going to love everything that they have done. I want to thank Teresa from Teresa BDIY and Jamie from Simple Roots Simple Living for hosting this playlist. I absolutely loved creating the projects for this challenge. As always, I want to remind you to be safe, be smart, be nice, be happy. Choose to have a good day because you are amazing. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed the video that you just saw, here's another one that you might enjoy. And as always, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching and have an amazing day.